Hi everybody, welcome to this week's class. I hope you guys are having a good time and that you're enjoying the coursework. This week we're actually going to be talking about a period of history that is really near and dear to my own interests, and that is the Jacksonian era and manifest destiny. Part of the reason why I love this period is because it is a time in which the United States begins to change incredibly. There are many reform movements going on at this period in time, and we're going to be looking at those in later weeks. But you've got major movements like the women's rights movement. You've got anti-slavery movements going on. There's a host of utopian societies that have been flourishing. There's significant religious awakenings, the Second Great Awakening. And in addition to that, there's some significant political changes that are going on as well. The election of Andrew Jackson in 1828 is sort of a watershed moment in U.S. political history. It is a time when the United States becomes more democratic because more white men, and sorry, but that's what we're dealing with at this point still, is there's more white men who are permitted to vote because property restrictions for voting begin to disappear. And so much of what we begin to experience with respects to politics and campaigning and voting practices, those sort of begin to really develop around the Jacksonian era. And so we're going to be looking at Jackson's presidency and some of the things that he did. Some of those were good, some of those were bad. We're also going to be taking a look at a period known as manifest destiny. And this is incredibly important. And in fact, this week, in addition to the textbook reading that you have to do, I'm also asking that you read a speech by Senator Thomas Corwin and an overview written by myself that is to be published at the end of next year. And I focus on what manifest destiny is and the impact it had specifically on Mexicans and Native Americans, and in particular the Nimipo, or more popularly referred to as the Nez Perce. And so I want you to take a look at this period of manifest destiny, and there's some questions that you're going to be asking in a discussion board for this week. And just so you're aware, there is no student response requisite for this week. You just need to upload your main post by Sunday at 12 midnight. And the same will be true with your quiz, by the way. You'll need to complete that by Sunday at 12 midnight too. But manifest destiny is this idea that God ordained white Anglo-Saxon culture and people to overspread the American continent, and of course in the process of that people get displaced. Native American peoples, Mexican peoples, right? They get displaced. But as we move west to fulfill this manifest destiny, it's going to raise some significantly important questions about the institution of slavery, because as people move west, they want to take their slaves with them. And according to the Constitution, at this time, slaves are property. They are 3/5 of a person. And so there's going to be some serious questions about the institution of slavery, more importantly, at least in my opinion, its westward expansion. And really, in my thinking, this is sort of the key issue of the American Civil War. And so pay attention to this week and what manifest destiny is and what it meant for the United States at the time. So that's what we're going to be looking at this week, and that's well and great. If you have questions on that, of course, you can take a look at the announcements online, or you can take a look at your syllabus. Those should cover the basic general questions. What I do want to do real quickly is just to encourage you to start working, or continue working if you've already begun, on your final paper, right? We're about halfway through this course now, and in about 4 weeks you're going to have your final paper in. And I want to be very clear about my expectations. Please read the directions, right? This is a 4 to 5 page paper, and I would encourage you to move more towards the 5-page range. I'm not necessarily going to ding you for not going to 5 pages, but if you don't fully explain your response, and I feel like you could have done so if you had gone an extra page, then that's where you'll lose your points. So try to write more rather than less. Now, you have to have a title page, and you need to have some type of a unique title, right? A title that sort of helps your reader understand kind of what you're going to be talking about, right? You also have to have a bibliography, and this is not a works cited page. A bibliography is a list of every source that you consulted, even if you didn't cite it in your paper. And so I want to see a bibliography as well. And I don't care which formatting you use, MLA, APA, Chicago. Chicago is the style that historians use, so if you're able to do that, that's great. I know if you're using Microsoft Word, you can build a bibliography into Word, and it will use any style you want, and it will take care of that for you. You don't actually have to do the formatting itself. But if you have questions on that, you can either look up on YouTube, how to build a bibliography in Microsoft Word, or email me and I'll spell it out for you. Either way works. But I want to make clear that that title page and that bibliography, they do not count as part of your 4 to 5 pages. When I say 4 to 5 pages, I mean 4 to 5 fully written out pages. So for example, if you write 3.5 pages, that's not 4 pages. I'm looking for 4 fully written pages to 5 fully written pages. You're also free to go over 5 pages, but let's keep it, 7 pages at max. Okay, let's try not to go more than that. As far as the assignment itself goes, you have to use 5 sources, and 2 of those sources have to be books, and one of those can be your textbook, but they need to be academically inclined textbooks or books, right? And that means I'm not looking for a book that maybe you read in 8th grade, all right? I want something a little bit more academic than that, okay? Generally, the way that you can figure this out is take a look at the author. If they're a professor somewhere, generally if they've won an award, that will help delineate to you that that's probably a fairly academic work. Okay, and if you have questions, please send them to me, but be very clear with what book it is that you're using. Make sure you provide the title of the work, the publisher of the work, so that I'm clear on what the book is. Okay. The other sources you can look up online if you want. I would encourage you to try to find journals. I know that if you simply go to the website, the school's library website, you can look up journals, and academic journals are fantastic to use as sources. You can also use the web, which I'm sure a lot of you will, but you cannot use things like Wikipedia or Ask.com or blogs. Pretty much stay away from any user-created site. Okay, those have a tendency to be somewhat problematic, and they're generally not very academic. I would also encourage you not to use encyclopedias, and what I mean by that is you can consult an encyclopedia, but when you look and find the information in there, please find that information someplace else, because encyclopedias tend to be a little bit more elementary than I want you to do. I want you to be a little bit more rigorous. Okay. When you're writing your paper, be sure to follow all rules of plagiarism, and if you do not know what plagiarism is, please look that up. There are many ways to plagiarize that do not include copying things down word for word, and so you need to make sure that you do not plagiarize. Anytime you do quote somebody, make sure you put a quotation mark around it. Make sure you provide an in-text citation or a footnote so that I know that you are very clear that what you are saying is not in fact your words. If you have more questions on plagiarism, please contact me, or again, look it up online. Okay? Also, finally, make sure that when you're writing this paper, you are being very specific, your arguments are clear, and that you edit your work. Okay? It's very important that we have proper grammar and punctuation, and that your thoughts are clear, and that we're not writing sentence fragments and run-on sentences, and that we have very clear transitions, and that you have a very clear thesis statement at the start of your introduction, that I know exactly what it is you're arguing in some of the evidence you plan to use. If you have questions on any of this, because writing is a difficult thing, please let me know. All right? Okay, I think that covers everything for this week. I hope you guys have a great week. Otherwise, go in peace, be warm and filled, and may the Force be with you. Bye, guys.